Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Career Tip Tuesday. We are your gracious hosts, Sherry Sims and the amazing Makeda Matthews. And thank you for tuning in with us for today's Career Tip Tuesday. We're going to jump right on in to the topic so we can stay on track and be mindful of everyone's time. And our topic today is career curveballs, what to do when you are being pushed out or passed over. So really, honestly, I thought this would be a good topic because, there's a lot of corporate layoffs. There's a lot of shifts going on right now. And it just seems like it's more relevant to, facing unexpected challenges in the workplace. So why not just talk about it and talk about what you can do to, when you feel this way. So we're going to give you 6 tips, and then we're going to also talk about what to do, like real quickly for each one of these. And so Makeda and I will please chime in and ask questions. And as you all are coming in, please, as always, let us know where you are tuning in from. We always love to know where people are watching from. All right, Makeda, career curveballs and what to do when you're being pushed out or passed over. So why do you think this is a good topic? I kind of explained it already, but I want to hear from you. Why do you feel like this is a good topic or a very relevant topic? Gotta fix my hair at the top, y'all. Okay.
Well, first of all, like you said, it is really relevant. We have to look at what the economy is doing. Are we shrinking? Are we growing? It maybe the numbers say one thing, but we're feeling something different. So we really don't know. So we always have to be ready. I think one of the things. Did we say? Um, yes, let us know where you are. Yes,
Yeah.
let us know where you are. Like, wait. I was like, wait, we forgot that. Yes, ladies, let us know where you are. Okay, Ariel in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta too, so connect with me. Um, so it's relevant.
Mhm.
B, I think, we have to be honest. Um, I think corporate and um, public and private. I think everybody's looking at their money. We're not sure what the economy is doing, and so we got to hold on. We got to stay steady. We have to look at our costs, right? And so, even though that might not mean a reduction in workforce, maybe that means we're holding off on promotions or increases, right? And so I think there's just so much uncertainty right now.
Mhm.
Um, Nobody kind of knows what to do, and so I think this is completely relevant because it could have been your time. It could have been your time, to get a promotion or an increase, but we're in uncertain times, and so everything is kind of paused. So I
Yeah.
just think it's really
No, I
relevant.
I, I agree 100%. With what you're saying. So let's jump right into the first tip then. So those of you just now tuning in, we're going to be talking about career curveballs, what to do when you're being pushed out or passed over. And we're talking about this now with the current climate, with a lot of uncertainty around job security. Well, we know there's no such thing as job security, but you get what I'm saying. So we want to just kind of give you some things to think about, and some of this stuff you may already know, and please chime in because we wanted to hear from what your thoughts are as well. So the first one is the tip one is stop gaslighting yourself and trust what you're seeing.
Mm.
Trust.
Stop gaslighting yourself. What are a couple of examples of that, Sherry?
Yeah. So you're really in denial, right? You're
Mhm.
in denial about what you just experienced, what you just saw, what you heard. So we're not talking about microaggressions. We're talking about
Yeah.
something that makes you feel like something is off, right? Off
Mhm.
with maybe you were, always included in the getting an invite to that weekly meeting, and now you're not getting them anymore.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Um, Maybe you were invited to the project and offer and to get your insight and input, but now they've kind of moved on the project without you. Right. And so I'm just giving some examples. I'm not saying these are concrete, but it really means trust your gut. Right. And so it may cause for you to think a little further. So here's what you do. What you do is you keep a journal and document.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I got a couple of notes. If you see me read to the side, it's because I'm looking at my notes. But if you feel like you're overlooked, if you feel excluded, if you feel like it's a target, you feel like you're a target, you know, you could be or not, but you owe it to yourself to keep a journal to see if there's a pattern of behaviors. Um,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you put the dates down, make sure you put the people that are
Mm-hmm.
involved in it. What's the
Mm-hmm.
impact? How
Mm-hmm.
is it having an impact on your job? So it's like, you don't want to just say, oh, I'm paranoid. I'm just, if you feel that way, you have to document to see if there's a true pattern. Because it could just be an isolated incident, but you want to be able to track it to see. Angelina
Mm-hmm.
says, trust your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. Trust your gut. Yep.
Hmm.
Um, again, like I said, I think two career tip Tuesdays in a row get you two friends, one in finance, one in HR.
Right?
Get you two good friends.
You said one in finance and one in HR. I love that.
Mhm,
Did you hear that?
mhm,
Get your two friends, y'all. One in finance and one in HR, because you more than likely going to need it. And we're going to talk about a little bit of what that looks like here in just a moment too. All right, let's move on to tip number 2. Okay, get clear on the game that's being played. All right.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, what this means is what you do is you pay attention. You pay attention.
Mhm,
What you do is you paying
mhm,
attention to
mhm.
who gets the opportunities, who's being overlooked, who's in the loop on everything, who knows what's going on, who's holding the power,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Who's holding the power?
absolutely. And to the point of holding the power, hopefully you have your mentors, your champions in your place of work that could uh, hopefully they have some power that they're holding, but that can help you again see some risks, see some what's going on in the future, see the strategy that's down the line. So pay attention to what they are saying as well when you're meeting with. Actually,
Mhm.
if you do not have a meeting scheduled with your champions, with your mentors at work, get them scheduled right now after this call, but after we're live, but get something scheduled with them and just talk, let them know, okay, I want to talk about the future, like what's going on, the strategy, the go forward strategy, what have you. Where is this company going? That should give you a lot of good insight. Yeah.
Angela, I have to post it. Angelina says, and third is an attorney.
Yes, you're right. So there's three friends. There's three friends, not two. Thank you, Angelina. Yeah, three
Yeah,
friends.
we like that. She said 3 friends. We like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you think about, again, it goes back to what to do in paying attention. It also is think about, are your responsibilities decreasing or increasing? And then is there a shift on who's being included in what, like I said
Mhm,
before? So pay attention.
mhm,
I always say, and I know you all have heard me say this on previous Career Tip Tuesdays, that you always pay attention to the people that you work with. I don't care, even when things are
mhm,
going good, because there's always can be this organizational shifts and drifts. And if you're not paying attention, you look up and you're no longer even included in anything that's going on. Before you know, you have a full calendar, you go to a calendar that has nothing on it, and you're not even paying attention to that. So again, I think it's very important to be paying attention to how the game is being played. All right, Makeda, we're going to go on to tip number 3, which is build your secure the bag strategy.
Yes, yeah, that is so good. First of all, there's a mindset shift that I think is needed for your secure the bag strategy. One is to make sure that you're connecting um, with what you're doing, your actions, et cetera, with what you want to do, your financial strategy in the future, right? And so that's number one. I think number two is we've got to also adopt. Um, I think we've got to also adopt some rules as it relates to our finances. So I'm going to go here and then I'm going to shift to you because I think you might have something different to say. Um,
Good. No, you're making a good point, because you have to think about those aspects when you're
yeah,
talking about securing the bag strategy. It encompasses a lot of things, and finances is
yes,
one of them. Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
E- every single dollar that you bring in needs to have a purpose. And to think about, is that purpose for needs? Is that purpose for wants? Is that purpose for investing? You have to assign a purpose for your money. So everybody is different,
Yeah.
right? But you know, a good sort of um, way to think about it is putting your money in those buckets. What is it that you need? What is it that you want, right? And then what is it that you can invest or save? And the investment and the savings is what's really going to propel you to um, future and financial sort of freedom. So don't
Mhm.
forget that one. But anyways, what how do you think about this, Sherry?
No, you're on track with that. The other part that I wanted to add when we're talking about what to do is to quietly start exploring new opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
But that's part of it, right? The other
Mhm,
part is,
mhm.
of course, updating your resume, making sure your LinkedIn is on point. You want to and internal and external, right? So maybe that department's going away, but maybe there's an internal opportunity where you can apply for something else internal. I mean,
Mhm.
may not be leaving the company, it could be just another opportunity internally. But
Yeah,
you do want to think about, and maybe do an inventory too of where you are, making sure that you're still marketable, right? So when Makeda talks
yeah,
about this money piece, you have to make sure that, are my skill sets still marketable? Am I in a place where I'm marketable and also have an opportunity to increase my
yeah,
income potential?
yeah.
If something happens here, do I
Mhm.
have a robust network I can call? Do I have the right skill sets that's keeping me marketable? Because I've been staying on top of my skills in my industry,
Yeah,
all those things. Because I always say, you should be making a name for yourself in your industry, not
that's
just
right.
making a name for yourself on your job. Because if that job goes away and then you don't
That's
have a
right.
robust network and no one knows you, it's like it's hard for you to make those. Sometimes it takes longer to be able to find that opportunity. So Makeda's on track
It
with that,
does, yeah.
because you want to make
Yeah.
sure you got to make sure your funds are
Yeah.
right, but you want to make sure too that you yourself
Yeah.
are still
Yeah.
marketable, yeah, in your industry. I think that's
Yeah. And I think you got a good point. You got your job, but those other things, going to industry events, contributing, via LinkedIn or speaking or what have you. Make sure your time is associated with a purpose.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah, you're
we have
100% right on
to
that. And you want to whatever
we have to
role.
make.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Makeda.
Oh no, I was just going to say we have to make sure that what the things that we are doing is purposeful, especially now,
Absolutely. Hmm.
strategic and purposeful.
Hmm. Everything that we do has to have it needs to be needs to be an end game. And we're not talking about being this is a strategy. This is about goes back to what Makeda said around changing your mindset and making sure that everything you do is adding value to the career that you are cultivating. And that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
Angelina says, agree, know your worth. I think many women often disregard their worth in regard to salary, as well as note that you don't have to tick all the skills on the job description to apply. Absolutely. I just had
Mhm.
this had that conversation with one of my clients about. I said, hey, you don't have to have, if you can have all the skills except for one, but still apply, right? So
Mhm.
Angela, you're absolutely right about that you still need to make sure that because that very one skill that you don't have, that may only be 2% of the job you're going to do,
Yeah.
right? um so I think it's good. Yeah, but the secure the bag strategy is important. I think the financial piece, absolutely, Makeda was in the right place thinking about that first, but then still looking at you and making sure that you have still have the right, relevant skill sets for your industry to continue to be marketable. Stay
Yeah.
marketable. Don't get comfortable. Stay marketable. You have to. All right. So tip number 4 is tap into your career circle, which is what we kind of talked about already, which is really just making sure that you're reaching, like Makeda said, reaching out to mentors or sponsors or whoever is in your circle of influence, right? But make sure that these are people who know your work ethic and know your brand, of who you are,
Mhm.
your personal
Mhm.
brand. Those
Mhm.
are people you want to make sure that you are, hey, I'm in transition, let them know what's going on. They can help you get the word out, things like that. So yeah, tapping into your career circle is going to be important. This is just not this is your professional network. We're not talking about your friends.
Mhm.
Yeah, unless your friends are in the same industry with you, then that's different.
Mhm. That's different. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, to going back to what to do, which is reaching out to people you know, your work ethic and your brand.
Mhm.
Yep. All right, number 5.
Be proactive, not reactive.
And
Ooh.
you had said this already, Makita. So I'm going to go right to the what to do because you said it already, which is set up a meeting with your manager and ask those questions that you were asking, right?
Mhm.
Around, what's going on with the organization, or if you are someone who feels like you're about to be pushed out, am I meeting expectations? Are there any
Right.
performance issues I need to be aware of,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that shows some initiative.
Yeah. One of the questions I always love and that I always suggest people ask is how does my role, how does my projects, how does what I'm doing align with the strategic
Yeah.
vision, that with the strategic plan of the company. And if your manager is fumbling and mumbling about that, then that's a red flag.
Yeah, and you need to, and if you are going into this conversation and you already have some, going back to number 1 about trusting what you're seeing or trusting your gut, then document it, okay? Because if you're
Mhm.
going in and you're being direct about, asking about performance and the things that Makita was saying, then and you're getting, they're saying one thing, but another thing is happening. You need to make sure you've got the documentation to show that behavior. So
Mhm.
that is critical for you to do that piece,
Mhm.
especially if you know there's games being played.
Mhm.
Document, document, document. We always say that's a Black woman's best friend in the workplace. Documentation. All right. Now our last tip is number 6, which is know when to exit with power, not bitterness.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Know when to exit with power, not bitterness. I think this goes into being proactive and not reactive, to be quite honest.
Mhm.
Don't
It does.
wait until something happens to you, um, especially if you're seeing the writings on the wall. Um, Make a move. Your most marketable. I think everybody's spirits is up, especially when they're on a high, right?
Mhm.
After some sort of accomplishments, after the end of the year, what have you. Sometimes you got to make moves when you're at the top of your game.
Yeah. Or if you feel like that there what you're seeing is true and you know that you want to leave before it gets messy,
Hmm.
then you have every right to do that. So what you do is you plan to exit gracefully but powerfully. And
Hmm.
I'm going to share what Deborah has down here. Deborah says, often women are hesitant to ask for what they want. They are very uncomfortable in negotiating, whether it be for salary, promotion, or even taking on additional work. They don't negotiate as they increase their workload, their working hours, responsibilities they take on, but what do they get as extra or offset the additional work? Yeah. You have to, it goes back to learning how to say no, setting boundaries.
Hmm.
Mhm. And
Hmm.
being very clear and strategic about what you want and keeping that in the forefront, right? And don't let your don't, I always say don't throw a dart to the wall, just let your career happen.
Hmm.
Be involved.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, be involved and take control of that and know that you have every right to say no. You have every
Mhm.
right to set boundaries. You have every right to expect to be treated a certain way. You expect those support from
Mhm.
leadership. And if you're not seeing that, you have rights to even speak up and discuss it and say, this is what I need from you.
Mhm.
Right. You
Right.
know, because it is a two-way street.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thoughts, Makeda? What you think about that?
No, I agree. You're in charge of your career. There should be no dart throwing at all. You're in charge. You have to take control because if you don't, people will surely take advantage.
Yeah. And I know we've got a couple of minutes left. I wanted to share this a really quick story. I know that I had experienced having these feelings in a previous job in my career before, feeling like I was being pushed out, and it got to the point where some of these things were happening to me where I wasn't being part of projects and no longer being part of them, and things not on my calendar anymore. And it became very clear after I started documenting what was going on. So what I did plan to exit gracefully, and I exit powerfully. And so when I gave my notice,
Mhm.
it was very well received in terms of the goodbyes and a lot of thanks and gratitude and a support around where you're going, what are you doing? I mean, all these things. And so what I did was change the narrative around the several people who were really looking to kind of had their own agenda to try to paint certain narratives from someone who was highly credible in the
Mhm.
organization, and
Mhm.
well respected and thought of. And I
Mhm.
said, no, I'm not going out like that. Not because of what you think you don't value me in the way that others do. And I took control of my own narrative, and I made the decision to walk away from that organization in the way that was empowering for me. And so we
Right.
all have that opportunity to do that for ourselves, to again exit gracefully and but powerfully, and trust and believe. When I left, the presence was felt when I left.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you've
Mhm.
got that. Just know your worth, and know that just because someone else's agenda and how they're trying to devalue you or make it seem doesn't, it's not about you. It's really about what they're trying to accomplish and the character of who they are too as well. Deborah says, when I ask the simple question, "What do you want?" followed by "What else?" most women struggle, and you can say no very gracefully without doing harm to yourself and your career. Men do this very well. Absolutely,
Mhm.
they do it
Mhm.
very well. And I think that goes back to the confidence and self assurance about who we are and asking for what we want. But another thing too is when you understand how the game is played, though, when you understand how the game is played and you recognize, as my daughter would say, the reindeer games, then
Mhm.
you start to kind of approach it differently because you can see through it.
Yeah.
So you have
Mhm.
to also understand, it goes back to understanding human nature about people in the workplace, their character, the hidden workplace rules, the hidden
Mhm.
agendas. Why the
Mhm.
hell are you here? What are you trying
Mhm.
to accomplish, right? And not at the expense of destroying my brand or
Mhm.
risking my career so you can
That's
have a
right.
come up, right? So
That's
that's
right.
the stuff we got to know.
That's right. Great point.
Deborah said, "Oh yeah," she said, Angelia out. She's out. She said, "I teach and you can negotiate anything. Base camp, know your worth workshop is always packed and lots of dialogue. Nice, I love it. We love to learn more about that." And Angelia says, "Protect your brand.
That's right.
You got,
Right.
mm-hmm. You got to." And then Deborah says they need to connect their competency with their confidence. Absolutely.
It's a
You
good point.
know, that's a good one. We may have to snatch that, Deborah. Okay, with permission. Okay, connect the competency with the confidence. I love that, but it is true. If you know
Mhm.
that you do great work, why not be confident in that? Why not show
Mhm.
that? And you're
Mhm.
doing it in a way they're not, because you have gifts and strengths and talents they probably more than likely do not. You
That's
know,
right.
we work
That's
around a
right.
lot of mediocrity, a
Mm.
lot and mediocre stuff going on around us, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we show up in excellence. And so that stands out whether we choose to believe that or not.
That's right. That's right.
All right, I know we got 1 minute left, so I want to share the last Career Smart tip, which we're going to start doing these at the very end of our Career Tip Tuesdays. And Career Smart is our Career Smarts 365 a professional development program. And so our whole philosophy behind Career Smarts is that, people always talk about being street smart, but for us, it's about being career smart. And career smart is
Mhm.
making good, strong decisions or smart decisions that help to really just help your career move along and try to disregard any type of setbacks. But today's career smart tip is being pushed out doesn't mean you weren't valuable. It means it's time to move. It's time to be more valuable to yourself.
That's a good one.
Yeah. It's
That's
time
a
to
great
be
one.
more valuable to yourself. And like she says, confidence, having that, you have that competency, bring that confidence right along with it. And women, we always, always need that.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So Deborah says, thanks for a great session. It's much easier when you identify what you are good at. All right. I have one more thing I want to share with you all, and I don't think I'm going to be able to put it in the chat. I'm going to try. Let me see if they'll let me do it. I don't know if it will let me. I don't think it will. Oh, yep, it won't let me post a comment. But I wanted to share something with you all. And I think what I'll do is I'll just put it in the link. I'll put it in the LinkedIn comments after our call is done. But I wanted to share with you all a guide that we have. And it is called the 6 Power Moves
Yes.
that every Black woman needs to know. And it's a smart guide to share with you the 6 power moves that we need to know. And so this is the link, but I will, after this is over, I will drop it into the link inside of the LinkedIn. And that way you all can download that PDF.
Yeah.
That's our gift to you all for watching.
Yes. Yes. Y'all read it. Read that entire article. Read it.
Yeah. So it's actually a guide, Makeda. This one's a guide. So this is a 6 guide about the 6 power moves that they should know. So download
Read the guide, y'all. Read it. It's a good one.
We'll drop it. We'll drop it in the the link. I mean, in the link inside of the I can't even get it out right now, Makeda. Inside the LinkedIn page, up under the video.
Yeah.
That's where you can find it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Any last words before we wrap up, Makeda?
No last words from me. I want everybody to get what they want out of their career because you deserve it. And so take a look at what you're doing, take a look at the organization that you're in, make an assessment and make a strategy.
Absolutely. And when you get a chance, please download our app. You can go to the Google Store or App Play. If you want to continue to stay connected with us, please download our app. And that way you can watch previous recordings of the Career Tip Tuesday and access our resources and everything we have to offer for Black career women. All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you all for watching. I'll drop the link for you to download the guide in the LinkedIn page. And again, you all have an amazing, amazing work week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.